Good morning, Year 4. Today is Tuesday and this is your English lesson. Okay, we're going to continue by adding to your plan today, but we're going to add description. So you should already know that for descriptive writing, the best thing to use is imagery. So with that in mind, your first activity is matching the feature with the example. So in the following examples, you're looking for a simile, a metaphor and personification. So Leela was the glue holding the business together. Leela was as nervous as a child on their first day of school. The treetops danced happily in the clouds, high above the earth. Okay, and then as you've matched those, you'll go on to the following slide where you'll see the correct matching, and you'll also be asked to create your own example for each of the features. So I'd like to see your own example of a simile, a metaphor and personification. Okay, so today you're going to describe characters and settings and add these to your plan. First of all, you're going to start off with describing the setting. So I'd like you to look at the example of the text on the slide and see how Philip Pullman describes the setting. And then I would like you to describe the scene to I'd like to remind you that describing the scene to the reader is really important, as it enables them to picture themselves in that scene. The more descriptive your scene, the more engaging your story. So if you're going for the amber level of challenge today, I would like you to add to each section of your plan at least one description of the setting. You could refer to the starter activity to remind you of some imagery devices which will enhance your writing. And if you're going for the red level of challenge today, I would like you to add at least 2 descriptions of setting to each section of your plan. You should ensure that you have imagery in each of these descriptions, and again you might want to refer back to the starter activity. So I'm going to pick one section of my story just to give you an example, but remember that for both of these challenges you're going to describe the setting in every section. I'm going to start my build up. Remember, the introduction has already been done for you. So I'm going to start at the next section for me, which is the build up. And I'm going to think about whether I'm going to use a simile, a metaphor or personification. And I think that a metaphor might be quite good, but let's have a think. So at the moment in the build up part of my story, I've got Leela spying on her dad. She's spying on her dad to learn the ropes. So the setting for that really is going to be her in a secret place outside of the workshop. I think she's going to be in the street looking through the window at her dad in the workshop. So the setting is either going to be the street or the workshop. I can pick either. So I'm going to pick the street, and I'm going to describe that using a simile. The street was as quiet as, the street was as quiet, or the street was as empty. The street was as empty as empty as something really empty. The street was as empty as a football stadium on an away day. Or as a classroom in the summer holidays. As a classroom in the summer holidays. Remember to give that detail. It wouldn't be enough to say the street was as empty as a classroom. Remember, we've spoken in class about adding that extra information. So I know the example that comes to my head is somebody said I ran as fast as a racing car. Remember to add on that bit on the end. I ran as fast as a racing car, breaking all land records known to man. Give that exaggeration, give that extra information. So I've used a simile. You can use similes, metaphors, personification to add description of the setting to each part of your story. Okay, with those in mind, similes, metaphors and personification, you're going to go on to describing the character. So for the Amber level of challenge, listen really carefully to this. For each section of your plan, you're going to add just one description. The description is your choice, but it can be the character's feelings, thoughts, or actions. You just need to pick one of those for each of your descriptions. The red level of challenge is a bit harder because for this, for each section, you're going to add 3 descriptions. So you must include in each of these sections a description of the thoughts of the character, the feelings, and the action. So that's the difference between the amber and the red level. So the red level is picking one, sorry, the amber level is picking one, the red is doing all 3. Again, you can go back to that starter activity to remind you of similes, metaphors and personification because they're really going to help here. So I'm going to describe a character's thoughts first of all. Let's describe Leela's thoughts as she is outside in the build-up. So as she's spying on her father, what would she be thinking? She's probably quite desperate that she doesn't get caught. So I'm going to use a metaphor. Leela's heart was racing as she watched her father for the first time without his knowledge. As she watched her father for the first time from afar. That sounds better. Notice how I'm constantly reviewing my knowledge, my sentence as I'm writing it and thinking from outside, from afar sounds better. So my example using a metaphor to describe Leela's feelings are: Leela's heart was racing as she watched her father for the first time from afar. I would now like you to think about how you're going to describe the character's thoughts, feelings, or actions, or all of them, using metaphors, similes, and personification. Okay. To finish up your knowledge, I would just like you, if you get time, so this is the end activity. If you have time, I would like you to use your knowledge of imagery to improve the extract on the slide. So to this extract, you're going to add similes, metaphors and personification to bring it to life. And for your extension task, I would like you to formulate a checklist to enable a Year 3 child to plan an incredible ending to this story, just as you have. So I've put some points on here for you too. What do they need to include? What should they remember? And do you have any tips to help them ensure that their work is engaging, just as yours is? If you think that you're going to find this tricky, watch my second video and I'll break it down for you even further. Great work today, guys.